What if I told you that the Final Fantasy devs are incredibly frustrated with Final Fantasy Brave Exvius and how things went with that game? Guys, we're going to take a nice deep dive look into a developer interview where we got quotes from Final Fantasy devs where not only they're talking about this frustration, but also they're discussing the direction of Final Fantasy Resonance. They're talking about the different gameplay elements and features, including the 26 visions that are going to be in the game, and then some. What's up, everybody? Soul here with another Final Fantasy Resonance video for your viewing pleasure. Let's take a look at this additional information, the deep dive, if you will, and let's see what we can glean and learn about this fantastic game that is on the horizon. And so here we go. Producer Keisuke Nakashima was deeply frustrated that a massive portion of the console fanbase ignored Final Fantasy Brave Exvius simply because of its platform. When the server shut down in 2025, the team refused to let the narrative disappear. They spent nearly 6 years rebuilding it from scratch to answer a fascinating question. What would a modern Final Fantasy look like if the series had never abandoned pixel art? I'm here for it. I'm here for it. The result ends up being a creation of what they like to title as artisanal. You'll hear that word a couple times. And anyways, the team features veterans from Octopath Traveler and Dragon Quest remakes. They are obsessing over visual perfection. If a sprite looks weird against a 3D background, they manually rewrite the pixel art itself to blend with the lighting. That's another level of detail and commitment that I'm super excited to hear about. Here we have a quote from Keisuke Nakashima where he says, "What's most important to me when it comes to HD 2D graphics is the beauty of each individual frame when they're cut out and viewed as separate illustrations. This is not easy to achieve, but it's a kind of standard we must uphold if we are aiming to be the champions of HD 2D." And so there it is. Mr. Nakashima says that he wants to be the champion of HD 2D over at Final Fantasy or Square. And yeah, I think they're doing a fantastic job. Champion? Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. Let's continue on with what we're going over. And of course, they're getting into cinematic camera work. Is something that they love to discuss. Previous HD 2D games kept the camera relatively static. Resonance introduces dynamic camera movement specifically to handle classic, massive Final Fantasy set pieces like airships and summons, guys. That's pretty exciting. They're calling this artisanal camera movement, of course. And so here we have a quote from Hiroto Furuya. Probably said that wrong. I am so sorry. Previous HD 2D titles haven't really explored the technique of using camera work to depict movements of large in-game elements such as summon monsters or airships. It's always weird to hear someone from the dev team call them summon monsters. I continue the quote. "The camera moves a lot during event scenes, and all the staff members really did a great job. It'd even say their work was truly artisanal." And so that's something that they seem to take a lot of pride in. Guys, this is a bit of a passion project. They really want to make sure that they're approaching this from an artistic standpoint. And that really shows, honestly, because the game's, it's beautiful. Yeah. And so now we're going to talk about the pacing of the game and how they desire to slow it down from the mobile game, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, of course. And then, of course, the return of the world map, guys. So because mobile games require a hyper-fast pacing, carrying that directly over to console would make the narrative feel hollow. The original writer, Yasunori Katajima, completely rewrote the script to fix this, guys. And so here we have a quote where it says, from Hiroto Furuya. But anyways, upon deciding to rework the story, we had Yasunori Katajima, the original writer of Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, rewrite the script. In order to deepen the level of immersion for the player, we rebuilt the scenario, ensuring that the motivation behind the characters' actions are linked together with the gameplay. Wow. And so Final Fantasy Brave Exvius was a fantastic game. I don't know if you played it or not, but it was really enjoyable in my opinion. And now we're going to have Final Fantasy Resonance, which has a completely rewritten script, guys. That's exciting. That means it's everything, top to bottom, totally different. And there's probably going to be a few caveats or surprises along the way. And so I'm here for it, guys. I think that's going to be fantastic. Moving on, talking about the world map, Furuya insisted on building a traditional overworld map despite massive technical hurdles, specifically to bring back a classic JRPG feeling of scale. So the world map wasn't easy to achieve, guys, but they fought hard to make it happen. And here's a quote on it from Furuya. I think having a map lets you get immersed in the feeling of going on an adventure to save the world. While maps are an element that ended up disappearing as Final Fantasy franchise evolved, we deliberately decided to bring them back for this title. And I think that's a good call, guys. I absolutely love the world map. It's something that I've missed in my gaming and exploits, and I'm super excited to see it back. I'm here for it. It definitely fills a gap as far as a level of immersion. But yeah, they talk about the philosophy behind random encounters, and of course, dungeon movement and individual fights. In a bold move for a 2026 game, the devs chose the classic random encounters over visible symbol encounters, which, let's be real, I missed that. You know, I like having random encounters. I think that is the way. It's a lot of fun. Furuya contrasts this choice with modern games like Final Fantasy 13, which heal you after every fight. And to be honest, I wasn't really too impressed with 13. Unpopular opinion maybe, I don't know. It felt like the streamlined Final Fantasy, if ever there was one. I remember specifically being stuck on a linear path and just having to go from objective to objective and not really having a ton of fun along the way. Sure, it's bright and colorful, but like I could essentially button mash in that game and win. Like it just... Sorry, the hate train's over. We're done. I'm moving on. Anyways, the challenge of resource management. So they talk about it right here. Mr. Furuya, head director Hiroto Furuya, has a quote where it says, Final Fantasy Resonance tasks you with the problem of how to conquer each dungeon. We came up with an experience where you will have to decide how to allocate MP and other resources. We thought that the best way to revive some those fun aspects of RPGs for the modern era is to add random encounters. And I think they're right. Random encounters are the way. So, making fights memorable, Nakashima argues that when you are seamlessly skipping, when you can seamlessly skip visible enemies, you lose the emotion, highs, lows, and nostalgic friction of a true JRPG. And I agree with that. If you can just go right around somebody, what does it matter? You know, they definitely, it hinders what the game can do. You could say it creates organic memories, right? Like if you're able to have those random encounters. Here's a quote from Keisuke Nakashima. I do think that random encounters can feel like a hassle at times, but they also allow you to make memories, like remembering the time you struggled against a really tough enemy or felt the joy of getting lucky with battle rewards. I think those are the kind of moments that actually stick with you. And I think that he's absolutely right. I think it's a really big deal that you have those random encounters because they can be frustrating, but they can also be fun. They can be very useful. It definitely creates a gameplay element that I'm here for. I'm definitely excited for that. And so combat, balancing, progression, and grinding is the next area we're going to move into, where they basically go on to say that there's no useless characters, guys. The game features 26 legacy characters acting as visions, which is the game's job system, essentially. Let's be real, junctioning. Because players love different heroes, the team completely redesigned the ability metrics from scratch, so nobody gets left behind. So basically, everybody's going to have some pretty fantastic utility. I can't wait to see that. And so the balancing of 26 Final Fantasy Legends, and what does that look like? Well, we have a quote from Keisuke Nakashima where he says, "We put a lot of thought into making a combat system where there are no specific characters that are weaker or more difficult to use, and everyone has a purpose on the battlefield. As a result, all the characters get their own place to shine in combat." So it sounds like they're definitely planning on forcing us to use all of the visions to get over various obstacles, challenges, bosses, you name it. They're all going to have different utility and offer different abilities. Let's be honest, there's going to be quite a few things we want ability wise, and you're going to have to delve into all of them to get those things. And I like that. I want that. And so the grinding flow is the next thing is addressed, where combat follows a strict rule: quick and simple for the mobs, slow and steady for the bosses. I like that. To respect player time, they built a 1.5 times and a 2 times battle speed up feature and a dedicated XP farming zones. Dedicated zones. And so we're going to have areas specifically built for XP farming and grinding. So this game sounds like it's getting towards the grindy side of things, you know, and I'm here for that. I like a good little bit of grind. I'm sure it's not going to be necessary. I wonder how difficult the game will be, but who knows? Anyways, tracking down Final Fantasy's quote-unquote liquid slimes. We have a quote on Keisuke Nakashima here on this one. He says, "As you progress through the game, you'll get to encounter cactuars in certain areas. They're pretty much the equivalent of liquid slimes in the Dragon Quest series." And then, of course, he's chuckling in that quote. And so there you have it. Cactuars are going to act as bonus XP, is the way I perceive that. And so you're going to be wanting to look for them to get as much bonus, who knows what, SP, whatever, MP, AP, JP, XP, all the P's, you know, not honestly MP, but, you know, mastery points, I don't know. Regardless, we want the cactuars, we're going to farm them up. It's going to help us to progress our characters, and they're going to be available in certain areas. So if you see one, that might just be one of those grind spots that's mentioned right here. And so they talk about the difficulty sweet spot, where bosses are designed to act as strategic brick walls. Combat director Takashi Shiraga warns that if you rush, you will lose. But the game isn't designed to be completely unfair. So there's going to be a challenge, guys, and there's going to be an element of strategy in each encounter. I love that. I'm here for that. Boss fights as strategic obstacles. We continue, and we're going to talk about Takashiga Shiraga's quote, where he also is quoted with Keisuke Nakashima, where he says, "It was important for us to leave some room for players to devise new strategies, even if they get beaten by the boss at first. We turn the bosses into these big obstacles that will motivate you to reflect on your team's composition. This is definitely not a super high difficulty game." And he's chuckling in the quote. And so, historically, the Japanese have kind of thought themselves hyper intelligent compared to like their Western audience, and so they kind of dumb things down for their Western audience. So I'm not sure where they're coming from this angle, or where they're staring at now, if they feel more intelligent in that way. But he's suggesting that it's not going to be overly difficult in this game. That might truly be the case. Maybe he feels like it shouldn't be overly difficult and they made it easier. I don't know, but I'm kind of disappointed to hear that it's not going to be quote-unquote overly difficult. I want that difficulty. I want things to be tough. And I don't want difficulty settings where the enemies just do more damage and I do less. That's just the wrong way to handle that. And so let's see what happens. But they're suggesting that the game's not going to be super high in difficulty. That's a really interesting quote. And so with that all said, the ultimate question for pixel art fans is summed up nicely with a quote from Keisuke Nakashima, where he says, "I wonder what Final Fantasy series would look like if it kept evolving while maintaining pixel art graphics. Final Fantasy Resonance is our interpretation of that question." You guys let me know. What do you think? I'm excited for this. These are just little tidbits of information that I felt were super duper relevant that you guys might like to hear about. And so I've made sure to put it all in here in a nice little summarized form. We've confirmed there's 26 visions. We've confirmed that there's going to be a basically a 1.5 times and a 2 times speed combat. We confirmed that every vision is going to be unique and basically going to be a requirement. A lot of bosses are going to be strategic hurdles where there's going to have, I'm going to assume, a gimmick where you're going to have select or certain visions and or abilities to overcome them. And yeah, there's a lot to glean here. I'm really excited about the artisanal approach to the game. I love that it's a passion project. I love that they want to do more in that way. I'm here for it. You guys drop down in the comments and tell me, what do you think? Is there something out there that you want to see added to the game? Is there something that crossed you wrong in that they said or that you didn't really care for? What do you most look forward to with Final Fantasy Resonance? I want to hear all these things down in the comments, guys, so make sure you get at me. If you think I'm worthy, drop me a like and subscribe. It really helps me out, helps the channel, helps what we're doing here. It's a free and easy way to support us. And for those that want to go above and beyond and do, huge shout out and thank you to our soldiers. You guys and gals are the ones who keep the content going, me rolling, and everything flowing. I'm super grateful for you guys. Sincerely, thank you so much for everything. And until next time, I will catch you later. Bye.